Hey, it's Ryan from Upfit Supply, and today we're going to be installing DuraTherm Wall Liners from Legend in our long wheelbase Transit Connect, so let's get started. The tools you're going to want to have ready for this install are some trim removal tools, a sharp razor blade, and a rubber mallet. The first thing that you need to do for this install is going to be remove these black panels if you have them from the factory, and then we want to talk through a couple of options that you have with the wall liners once we get those off, so let's remove those now. These are just held in by some Christmas tree plastic clips, so it's just a matter of pulling those out. I've got a pry bar here, which is a little bit overkill, and I've got a more traditional trim removal kit that can also be used. This one works well when you can see the clip, you can just pull it out. When you're going in blind, this pry bar seems to work a little bit better. And if you remove this panel here for the factory jack, that helps you get access to some of these. The tip is to avoid breaking as many of these as possible. All right, for the reveal, here's all your plastic clips here. You want to take note of this if you're trying to install this. We're on the passenger side here, same thing. Now on our passenger side here, there is a 12-volt cigarette outlet here that you'll have to just pull out. You're good to go. Now, if you are one of those folks that has a single sliding door in your Ford Transit Connect, not super popular here in the US, but if you do, they also make a wall panel that goes where that door is, essentially. We got one right here, just for demo purposes. This one actually attaches with self-threading screws into the sheet metal of the van, whereas these rear wall liners go in with our plastic clips, so there's no damage to the vehicle or anything like that. So I've got our DuraTherm wall liner here, and you've got a couple of options. As you can see, this is the full size of this wall here, but we actually want to put our black paneling back in. You could install this as is right over top of this area. There's very little in the way. We do have some electrical wiring going back here to, I think, the tail lights. But there's just a couple of things that you need to know about going that route. Number one is that you got to deal with this electrical issue. Potentially run it through there, I don't know, I'm not an electrician. But the thing is, your factory jack is right here. So when this is installed, it's going to be covering that jack. So, in our particular case, we want to keep that paneling there so we have access to the jack and not have to worry about moving any of this. A little bit more complicated on this side because we do have some modules here in the way. Now the liners are cut to accommodate for this box here, this little module here. But again, we don't really need this space. You can get a couple more inches of cargo area if you remove that and just have these flat up against here, because the black panel essentially comes out almost even with this wheel well here. So you do get a little bit more cargo area if you don't put that black panel back in. But for us and for maybe your use case, you might want to keep those in. So in order to get this liner to work with that black panel, there's scoring on the back of the liner here. You need to trim this liner before you install it. So we're going to do that for both sides. Get the DuraTherm panel in, then get our black plastic trim from the factory back in as well. All right, so I put down a scrap piece of material right here so I can cut through this without damaging our nice floor that we just put in. And so we're just going to cut with a razor blade, box cutter, right along this scoring here so that this can get mounted up in our wall here. You can also use a finishing blade if you had a saw, jigsaw or something like that. But we're going to use what Legend tells us to use is a box cutter. about a medium amount of effort that you're going to push on the blade to get through the plastic there. It's not too bad. It kind of snaps off a little bit once you get it scored. So I think a razor blade works pretty well as long as you got a sharp blade. There we go. We have our cut wall liner for the upper portion of our door on the driver's side. Do the same thing for the passenger side. Now, another thing to note on these liners is if you do choose to keep the full panel, you can see they've got scoring here for different modules. I think this is for this door mechanism here. Got another thing here that I don't know if there's some type of module that's mounted here sometimes in the van. The other thing is we've got some scoring up top here for a light. We only have one on our passenger side. Looks like you can potentially get it on the driver's side, so we left that one intact. So again, don't really need to saw this. Just a little bit of pressure with the razor blade, as long as it's sharp. You can see it kind of snaps apart once you get it started. And there we go, top wall liner for the passenger side. That light just popped out. So our driver's side panel here is secured with push-in plastic rivets that Legend provides with the wall liners. Sometimes these do need to be secured depending on the vehicle with self-threading screws. And in that case, you can have smaller holes pre-drilled into the liner, and you're just going to tap those into the sheet metal on the side. And then they come with plastic caps to cover over top of the metal screw, so it gives a nice finished look inside the van. So we're just going to use these little Christmas tree plastic clips, bang them into our pre-existing holes in the van here, and we'll be good to go. First two are the hardest because you got to find these holes in the blind. Rubber mallet. I'm going to keep that one a little bit loose until I can get another one in here. So in our Transit, this van here by the door on the driver's side, looks like the hole's a little bit smaller than the rest of them, so our plastic clips actually don't fit in that hole, so we're just going to leave it on how it is right there. It'll hold fine. Here I'm just clearing out, there's some debris from the drilling here. You don't have to do this, but it makes it a little bit easier to see through these before you're pushing them into the wall. Now we have our foam here. This slides right behind the foam. It's from the factory, so pretty easy to get around that. And the light pokes through our little pre-drilled hole there as well. Now that we got our wall panels in, we're just going to put in our black plastic trim. We're putting the passenger side back in. If you had to disconnect this outlet here, be sure you plug that in first before you reconnect. There you have it. We have our wall liners on our driver's side, on the passenger side, all set. Got our black trim back in place, and we're good to go. If you're looking for these wall liners or any other liners for the Ford Transit Connect, be sure to check us out at upfitsupply.com. My name's Ryan, and have a good one.